Guys, welcome back. It is Judgment Day. So here's where we're at. I have unwrapped the Jeep. It's all the papers in a bag over here. Everything's good. Still haven't hung up put my drive shafts back in. And by the way, no one has told me yet if it's okay for these yokes not to be lined up. And so we still got time. If you know, tell me, all right? Because I seriously don't know if I need to worry about that or not. And I have enough things to worry about. Anyway, we are going to have a walk around this Jeep. And we're going to stop at that section right behind the passenger side door, and we're going to have a talk about that section. So strap on in. Let's have a closer look at how we did on this paint job. Okay, here we go. We're gonna come around here on the driver's side of the Jeep first of all, and it's getting into the evening hours, so I got my little handheld light. Hang on, we're gonna spin you around. So, let's have a quick look, and then we'll come back and we'll talk in more detail. So, pretty good looking. I think we're gonna be okay for the most part. There's a few things I do want to point out. First of all, back here on our corner, I have sanded my run here a little bit. I think I'll be able to salvage that. However, right above it is some more of that foamy look. So maybe I did the same thing I did over on the other side over there. I hope not. The overspray of the clear coat has kind of stuck where the plastic stopped on my first paint job from my first job. I think that will buff right out without any issues. And right here in the door jamb, I might have got a little short on paint there. That I'm not worried about because the dash covers that, but that you might see. So I may have to put some tape down the edge here and fix that up. But I'll wait until I buff that a little bit and see what we got. But not too bad, huh? You know, the orange peel stuff is at a minimum, I think. If we, let's see if we can see generally when we can really see the reflection of the light, and for some reason I can't see what you're seeing. There we go. When we see the light there, that kind of points out that orange peel, and it doesn't look like we have hardly any over on this side. So driver's side passes. Okay, I think so. Except for this one back corner, a little bit of work to do there. All the back here, across the back, looks fine. We know we got to work on that chunk, so we'll come back to it. The front fender over here on the passenger side looks fine. We've already talked about that, and we've already talked about my cowl. Looks fine. This section right here is, the jury's out on that a little bit. It was really hard, you know, to get the gun in here and get clear across and spray that out. So that I don't know about once I really start working on it. However, because we got a line right here, if we have to fix that up, we'll just tape that off and leave our cowl alone and fix that. So that's okay. Here's the fender for the driver's side, and this looks pretty good, much like the other fender. That's going to be just fine. Tailgate was laying flat, everything pooled in there nicely. That's going to be just fine. There is a few places where dust stuff adhered to the top of my gel coat or my clear coat, but I think that'll sand right out, or my nib tool should be here any day and that will nib tool out, and that'll be okay, and that will buff out nicely. I've started sanding the dash. You saw me a little chunk of sanding there, so I've sanded the dash down. I will start that as my first pass at the polishing with the polishing compound, so I can kind of cut my teeth on that and make all my mistakes over there. The grill is hanging up over here. I think the grill is going to be just fine. I've got the windshield frame right here, and unfortunately that didn't turn out very good, I think, down on the bottom, because it was close to the ground and I was really struggling with that. If I spray that all again, which I probably will have to do, I'll hang that from something, much like it's hanging right now, but I'll do it from something where I can get to both sides of it, because that was my problem, is I was trying to work one side, kind of let it set, do the other side. That did not work. And then my little pieces and parts over here, my hinges, I already showed you how they did not get paint. They got paint there, but they didn't get paint there. So those need to be in a different spot when I start spraying all this kind of stuff, so that I can spray from one angle and then spray from the other angle, because this hinge has the same kind of problem. You can see there's no paint there. So, you know, there is on that side, a lot of dust on that one, but you know, I think we'll just have to redo that. The bolt heads, I think those will be okay. I've already sanded down the glove box cover a little bit, and there's our cowl vent. I think that'll probably be okay. So whoever the hater was that kind of laughed at me when I first said I was going to be painting black cherry metallic paint on this thing, and someone made the comment kind of like, oh, you think you're going to lay down black cherry metallic paint and you never even painted before? Well, that ought to be something or other. I don't know. It wasn't, maybe not quite that mean. Maybe I'm overreacting a little bit. But whoever you were, I think 85-90% of this thing is going to be just fine. So we'll start next on the polishing, and again, I'm going to use that dash as my guinea pig because it might need some work anyway. It needs some fixing up. I have a ding here on the end. I think something touched it there, maybe my air hose or something. So that's not perfect anyway, so might have to work that over. But the hood, you saw me fix up the hood last time around. That's going to be just fine. I have not sanded it yet, and I haven't buffed it or anything, but it's sitting there, it's ready to go. Now, I mentioned this side. I was looking through some footage, trying to find a particular chunk of footage to look at again on the side of this Jeep. And this area right here is possessed, okay? There is some kind of horror story anomaly or something going on behind this part of the Jeep, because I have spent hours on this. Remember, this chunk had a low point in here and a high point up here, and I fought this and fought this and fought this, and then I got here with the gun and I got too close and I foamed my freaking clear coat there. So I don't know what it is with that chunk of this thing, but that area and this area have probably consumed as much time in labor as, gosh, the rest of this whole thing. I don't know what's going on there, man, but something is. So, anyway, I think I feel like pretty good about this. Feel pretty good. So I've got some other things to do. I'm not sure I'm going to be able to get into staying right on the polishing and the, you know, getting all this finished off right this minute. But I think we made good progress, and I think for a beginner, it turned out pretty good. Now, I do have some advice. If you're following along, and I've had a fair amount of you put comments on saying you're doing a similar project, when you hit the point where you're going to start painting, you can do it, but experiment more. And if you have pieces off like I do, break the job up. do the tub, do the whole tub and stop. Then do the hood and stop. Then do the tailgate and the dash and stop. So you have time to collect your thoughts, figure out what you're doing wrong, figure out what you're doing right, repeat that, the right stuff. You'll have better luck figuring out how much material you're using, because I got kind of on that roll and I got caught up in what I was doing and I mixed up too much paint, and I wound up throwing away enough paint that I probably could have touched up all my touch up here and had enough to do that without having to buy any more paint. So I need to buy probably a quart or a pint or whatever, probably a quart. So yeah, break it up in smaller jobs. And if I really was smart, I probably would have just stopped on the dash on day one and done a couple of coats of paint and a couple of coats of clear coat and stopped right there, and then figured out, okay, what's wrong? What's wrong is I'm getting too much dust. What's wrong is I'm too close with my gun. I'm not far enough away. My fan's not right, whatever. I mean, all that I think was okay, and I figured it out pretty quickly, but you can kind of save yourself some grief if you do a piece and figure it out. And then plan if you're going to have to do the whole tub, which you are, because you're going to get up here on the fender and you're going to start on the fender and you're going to start working your way back, and you find that now you're going down this side, but you also have to start up over your cowl, so you're going to have to go clear up here and back and all the way around, and then there's no real place to stop, and so you're going to go all the way around. You're going to come over here, and then you're going to have to blend into that cowl again. So you just got to do the whole tub. There's really no way to break this into smaller pieces. You could leave both the fenders off, I suppose. But actually, I think that fender would have been easier to paint had it been loosely bolted up on the Jeep like the other one was. So that's my advice. Break the job up a little bit and give yourself some time to figure out what's going on. Because each time you spray and you see a good result at the end, even if you got a few little bumps and stuff you got to fix up, your confidence level just steps up. Just boom, boom, boom. You just start feeling like, I got this, I'm getting it, I'm doing a passable job. It feels pretty good to know you did it. And so, yeah, other than the dead zone here where I've spent countless hours. I mean, literally, if you watch some of those early videos back when I was kind of trying to make this raw tub look good, remember we had, the spot welds all across here, and we had kind of I think it was a high point here and a low point there, and I filled all that in and fixed it all up. But man, I had to spend hours right there. And now here comes some more. So that was just a horrid mistake, and there was nothing for it, nothing but that. It's just a mistake. And again, I think what I did is I think I just was blasting my gun really close there, and I just shot the air into the clear coat as it was spraying in there. So don't do that. All right, well, it has not cooled off hardly at all here in this salty valley, but I have been out here, as you've seen, working on the dashboard. And so I buffed it with my little buffer first, and then I polished it with my fine foam pad. I have an ultra fine one as well. I have opened the door and took the thing out in the sunlight and looked at it straight up and down, and it looks pretty good. If I'm really super critical of it and I'm looking up close here, I can still see my orange peel a little bit, but I'm not sure that we're going to get a mirror-like finish on that dash. But that gives me confidence to continue on with some of these other more critical parts, like the fenders and whatnot. So yeah, the polishing compound seems to work good. I'm not trying to put a ton on there, and as expected, all the little holes and stuff, some of it scrapes off inside of there, so we're wasting a little bit as we go, but I think it looks all right. So I have got to get this Jeep moved over a little bit and be able to get the car back in here. So I'm gonna kind of clean up a little bit and go do some other things. My little denibbing tool is supposed to be out for delivery today before 8 o'clock. It's coming to our office, and our office closes at 5 o'clock. So it didn't arrive today. Hopefully it will show up tomorrow from the Amazon dudes. But then I'll probably start on that thing, the tailgate, next, and get rid of some of those nibs, and then hand sand it with the 1500 and move my way up. Haven't done any more on the hell side here, but this up here, I may start that by hand with maybe wet sanding some 2000 grit or something just by hand, because it's going to be difficult to get a tool up here and not, get too much burned out here and not enough here and that kind of thing. So this fender, at least the top side and around the corner and all the curvy places here, I might work that by hand just to be careful not to burn off my clear coat over the corners, because that's kind of what I'm afraid of. I mean, when you're buffing this flat section, your buffing pad is spread out nicely. But as you come over an edge like this, you're only touching a little bit at a time. And I think it would be easy to take too much off there and wind up kind of burning through your clear coat. So yeah, I think I'll do that by hand. But for right now, I think I'll maybe button up, get situated so I can get the car in here, and then I've got to get ready to head up to Seattle. I got the Starlink thing booted up today, but the antenna's not moving, and it's acting like it doesn't think it has one plugged in. So I'm not sure if that Starlink, if I got a DOA one or what's going on, but I got to kind of sort that out. There's always something. So anyway, I'll probably leave this here for now and come back and do some more sanding next time around. Always some sanding and polishing and sanding. So yeah. And then, just to briefly show you, remember, this is where the guys from Willie's Overland, kind of repainted some heat marks after they'd welded some stuff and whatnot. So the inside of the tub will get a coating of some black rattle can paint, but not going to worry about that right now. So I will keep my hood on my roller so I can roll it over here. I'll push the Jeep back and get the windshield frame kind of up inside of it there so it's out of the way, and get my stuff situated over to the side. So I got room to get the car in here out of that 100-degree heat that we have out there right now. Because boy, when you get in that thing and it's been sitting out in the sun all day, whoo, it's hot. But yeah, looking good so far. So I'm going to continue on, but not today.